If we know bad people hurt kids, so we keep them out of our school, we know now. It is not a question of if we know that smartphones and social media harm our kids. So if we know that, do we not have the same obligation to keep those out of our schools?
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
I'm Bill Dolezal. I am honored to serve the community as a superintendent of the Cave Creek Unified School District. We are located in the northeast corner of Arizona's Valley of the Sun, surrounded by the natural beauty of the Sonoran Desert. We have 7 wonderful schools and are proud and privileged to serve over 4,000 students.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today on the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm so honored to have you and the hundreds of other superintendents as we ask superintendents questions that help inspire other educational leaders nationwide on how we can be the best at serving students, serving the community, engaging parents, and building a resilient set of students and skills that help kids to be safe on social media so they can someday be successful and shine online when they're ready for it. I'm excited to have you here today. And Superintendent, I want to ask you the first question. What's your biggest accomplishment as a school district over the past 1 to 4 years?
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here. I'm really jazzed and excited about this opportunity. As far as accomplishments go, that's easy. That's the people in our district. I came into this position asking kind of to steady the ship in a transition through leadership. My first goal was to get everybody refocused on what is important, which is kids. They are why we come to work today. If we don't have them, we don't exist, period.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to work alongside our governing board to create and adopt norms and commitments that they had not done before. This allows them to disagree without being disagreeable. And in today's day and times, that's an absolutely critical component to leading a district. Their focus is on kids, not on politics or anything self-serving that only distracts our focus from kids. I'm also really pleased about our community and how they've embraced the idea that not everybody has to go to college anymore, that's not for everybody. And that was certainly very prevalent in our community. Now our goal is to prepare kids for their E of their choosing. So we encourage and allow students to select their own pathway. And when they graduate from our high school, they're ready to chase their E. Some will choose to go straight into employment. Some will choose to enlist and serve our country, and some will choose to enroll. And that could be in a trade school, a 2 to 4 year school, college, or university. And all of those choices, Josh, can lead to a healthy and productive future.
Well, we at Smart Social are huge fans of our veterans. We love those who enlist. Our podcast producer here is a veteran. My father's a veteran. My brother-in-law is a veteran. Love that E and love the other 2 E's as well. Just love how you turn that into something. Employment, enlist, or enroll in some kind of secondary third education of some sort. And it doesn't have to be a college that costs a lot of money. It could be something affordable. I just had a discussion with one of the incredible people at our company today, and they're figuring out where their son goes. Excellent answer to that one. Now, what advice would you have for other school districts? And then we're going to dive into some safety stuff. It isn't going to be doom and gloom, Bill. We're going to get to some positive stuff. But this is a struggle that other superintendents, many of my friends, we've got 135 episodes as of the time of today of superintendents and district leaders on the podcast. And I want to hear from you. What advice do you have for our other school district leaders in our network to deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app, but then create a very real problem on campus?
Great question and great dilemma that all of us across the country, and I would argue across the world, face, especially with our young people. One, we need to start with education. We need to regularly educate our students, parents, staff about responsible social media use, digital citizenship, and the potential consequences for online behavior. I actually really believe if students know consequences and they're aware of what their choices will do, they make good choices. Mm-hmm. A lot of people complain. I'll use that word complain about today's kids. They are still as amazing as ever. They just have a lot of questions and they want the truth. And if we're honest with them, then that's the best way that we can prepare them to be successful. I'll be honest with you and tell you, we're still looking for really good ways to increase our turnout at events. We do lots of trainings. We offer things to our community and parents. We put on highly engaging sessions and we never get the turnout I would like. So if you know anybody who's got a great resource or idea for that I would love to hear about. I will share the best results I ever got. I've been told I have a nice voice, so I would often do out dials on a phone to all of my parents when I was a principal. And I'd be very upbeat and very personable. That's just who I am. Well, I made an out dial and my tone definitely changed. And it went something along the lines of, I've asked you many times or offered many trainings for you to come to. I'm not just offering this one, I'm asking you to please show up. And we actually filled our gym.
Great.
So that was one of the best ones. So a personal engagement for me from a principal to their parents is always a great way, or the best way I've ever seen to get parents to buy in and maybe come and actually asking, not just offering, but really telling them that it's important that they know this information and they come.
That's great. And what I heard from you too is from both a student perspective and a parent engagement perspective was explain the why. Hey, parents,
Absolutely.
this is a really big problem now. I really need you to come for this reason. And students, you're going to make choices. Here's why this might be the wrong choice. Here's why this one might be the right choice. And the students we call them young adult students, right? Because they want to be called students. They want to be called kids typically in our program. And they really want to know why so they can go, boy, that person just told me how to get fired and hired. I think I want to go down that secondary route of hired, which is kind of cool. Are you
Yeah.
finding that if you explain to the students the why, they go, I'll act like a young adult?
100%. That's absolutely true. I don't think we can do anything anymore without explaining the why. And I
Yeah.
don't care what learners you're talking to, whether they're the adolescent learners or the adult learners,
Yeah.
knowing the why is absolutely critical to them being ready to receive whatever it is you're going to share with them. There are a couple other things I've got in terms of some other advice I would give. One of those is really collaboration and setting up partnerships ahead of time. We have to work with local law enforcement. They are extremely important if you want those relationships in place before you need them in a critical situation. Reaching out and establishing that ahead of time is critical. You have to encourage parents to actually involve the police when things happen outside of the school as well. Because again, they have resources and some teeth perhaps that we just don't have as a school that can really be beneficial. The other people to reach out locally are really your mental health experts that are in the area. Reaching out and having those connections before you need them, you would really be surprised at what you have in your district that you may not even know about. Unfortunately, we had an incident at the middle school when I was principal there. I started doing some reach outs. Turns out we have, I think you're familiar with Dr. Lisa Stroman. She happens to live in our neighborhood. So we have an incredibly valuable resource in our neighborhood that we can tap into. And again, I think there are the resources like that are all over the place. We just have to go out, look for them purposefully, and then set up those relationships. So when you need them in a situation, it's already there.
Yeah, that's terrific. Let's actually move on. We've talked a little bit about safety. Bill, I want to talk a little bit about the positive side of social media. So my question for you is, can you provide some examples of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or a productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
I'll definitely highlight our seniors last year, seniors and really our student council. They went out, did a survey. They noticed that stress and mental health was an issue at the high school, that lots of kids expressed that need. So they designed an entire week of mental health awareness and wellness week. Another thing, other than telling students the why, is letting them be in charge and get out of their way and let them go. Their student council organized and ran an entire week. They utilize social media to communicate with the student body, helpful tips, as well as the daily events they had planned for students. So all of that went out on their own social media channels. And then the other thing I would say is it's a great way for them to showcase their achievements. Many of our students use the platforms for academic, artistic, athletic achievements. That's teaching them to have a positive social media presence and can not only help them foster a sense of pride in themselves and the community spirit, but also help them reach their goals for after they graduate.
Third one I loved as much as all of them, showcasing achievements. And I think that's a really good learning for every district out there. You know this. You're on LinkedIn, you have a resume. Is there a chance that you could start building earlier than later, the chance for students to start building that understanding that their past performance is a predictor of future behaviors? Last night we had one of our big parent engagement events, and our guest superintendent said, we start, and I'll get the age wrong, but we start as early as like second, third, fourth grade talking about careers with the kids. Like, what do you want to do someday? So that they have a why of behaving positively online, which I just love. I thought that was a really neat thing. My next question for you, Bill, this is the $1 million question. What are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent engagement? And in addition, are there any specific channels or events that get the biggest turnout?
I kind of mentioned it earlier. The best thing I've seen is actually having the people they have a relationship with. I'm very fortunate. I've lived in Arizona since 1999. 24 of those 26 years, I've been in this school district as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, principal, director, and now superintendent. So I'm known, but I will still say parents and kids have a better relationship with the principal who is at their school. So that person reaching out as opposed to me makes a big difference. You're right. It's $1 million question. I'm always looking for more tips on that. We have some events coming up. Again, we're using every single social media that we have across our district. So, our Facebooks on both our PTOs, our school sites, getting on community web boards and postings and blogs that they put things out. We're having our person go out and put our information there too, because this is such an important issue. We live in a community where not every kid comes to our public schools. They make choices and go wherever, but this is important enough. Social media and being safe online and what it does for your future is important enough that we want our entire community, whether they come to our schools or not, to have the opportunity to learn with us.
What are your thoughts around some of the districts that are going cell phone free in the classrooms to lower distractions and improve learning and student development?
Josh, this is a great topic. Let me start by asking a different question. What are your thoughts on having bad people free schools? So having schools where no bad people can come on. I know it's a rhetorical question because that's absolutely what we do and what we should be doing. So the question sounds silly, but really, if you go with me on this one, if we know bad people hurt kids, so we keep them out of our school, we know now. It is not a question of if we know that smartphones and social media harm our kids. So if we know that, do we not have the same obligation to keep those out of our schools? To that end, we have 5 elementaries and 1 middle school. All of our K-8 schools, cell phones cannot be out during the day at all. If they come out at those schools, they go to the front office, a parent comes and picks it up. This is a new thing. This is just this year. Our high school, they have to park them. That's where we're going right now. We're seeing how it goes with high school, and we're constantly looking at it in terms of where are we going to go with our high school from there. This is a good experiment, a good first step, I think. But I'm curious to see where this heads. Again, and I know that may have been a drastic comparison there, but we keep bad people out because we know they're bad and going to hurt our kids. You know this better than anybody. Since 2010, students across the globe have reported more anxiety, less connection, more depression. It's pretty clearly linked back to cell phones and social media. So if we know something is bad, if we're obligated to keep bad people out, I'm moving more and more, and we're obligated to keep those things out as well.
I like what you said a lot, and I would even adjust it just a little bit. We want to keep bad people out. We want to keep bad things out. So the notifications from good people can be bad things. And I want to be gentle how I say this to all the parents listening right now. I hear from a lot of my superintendent friends and principals and teachers. How do I talk to the parents about not allowing the kids to have notifications in elementary school on these fancy watches? Those of you listening to the podcast right now, I'm pointing to my Apple Watch. And I gave a speech to 800 educators, Bill, the other day. The elementary school parents are like, Josh, we don't know how parents have to have 24/7 connection with their kids for emergency purposes. And all it is, how you doing today? What's going on in the middle of class, right?
Right. 2007, smartphones come out, our kids get them. Well, parents got them too. And we've created a new umbilical cord. And I too want to be very, very appreciative to any parents watching in that. But the parents have gotten very used to having instant access to their children. And I will use the word surveilling them through their phones. I will also admit, I'll be an open book here. I am guilty of that when my daughters were in high school. There's an interesting ramification to doing that. That might be another podcast in and of itself.
What if we said this? And I really appreciate your dynamic brainstorming because I think you see our heart here at Smart Social. There's no perfect answer. We're all here to develop the most resilient kids that are learning every day, that feel secure, focused, happy, relaxed. They feel like they have strong in-person friendships and they understand how to navigate the digital world. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I think this sounds like a good idea at first. What if we told parents, would you bother your kid with a text during their deep dive of homework? No, they got to study for tomorrow's test. Every classroom is homework. They're studying for the end of the year, for mid year, for the quizzes, for everything. They're trying to pile as much data and understanding in here as possible. And again, parents, we love you. But at the same time, we're all tackling this. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. 2 years ago, this dialogue wasn't happening as much. Now, this year and last year, it's happening a lot.
I think you're 100% correct, because I think more and more research, we entered into an experiment with smartphones and social media that we did not know what the ramifications were going to be. And we're just starting to get the data
Yeah.
on what those ramifications could be. I don't even think we're totally fully there yet. So as we get this more information, then we're making decisions. And Josh, I want to spin off on something you said. You talked about real world or real life. One of the other things I rolled out this year is this idea of fanness. And I won't get into it really big, but it's the idea that everybody wants fans.
Yeah.
And if I'm a fan of you, it's really hard for you to do anything but be a fan back of me. I rolled that out in a kickoff speech to our entire teaching staff this year. And one of the things as I was preparing to give this speech that hit me like a ton of bricks was I have proof that everybody, all our kids want fans, all the kids on social media, and I would even say the adults on social media want fans. Why are people so obsessed with likes, hearts, slide-ins to stories, or followers? It's because that's how they're viewing that they have fans. I want my kids to have real life fans, not digital fans.
Quality over quantity is what we call it. Yeah, absolutely. It fulfills
100%.
the child's heart and helps them to focus. I love that, and I agree on just everything you said. So we talked about cell phone free. I'm going to do a quick pause for everybody watching here right now. It is such a big issue that for any of you superintendents chatting with us right now, I want to tell you just a couple options that you all have. Number one, there are some solutions out there that are Faraday bags, and I want to tell everybody kind of some of the ideas that districts are having to talk with us. Again, I have about 300 discussions a year with superintendents, 100 new ones a year, and we put them on the pod. And what I'm hearing right now, boots on the ground, is they're going to go to some kind of a Faraday solution. Superintendents, you know what these are. If you've ever been to a comedy club or something, they say, all right, give me your phone, and we're going to put it away into a device that has a little bit of metal fabric in it so that the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and AT&T or LTE or 5G can't get through it. And all of a sudden, there's no buzzing. You can't record. You can't do anything. There's a lot of these solutions out there. We built a hybrid one that's Velcro, so it doesn't lock the kid's phone away for in an emergency. Parents go, whoa, my kid can get into it. Yes, but it makes a small sound. And it has the kid's name. It has their little ID, or the school can make another one with their name or something like that. So we have another solution we're releasing to schools. There is no one solution to helping kids focus in the classroom. It is a dynamic village of effort. And we're trying to come to the table with what's the best. So any of you districts out there that want a free sample, please holler at us and use the links below. We would love to chat with you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is an interesting one, Bill, because we want, as I keep saying, build resilient kids that are focused, happy, relaxed. You've got your 3 E's. Love that. How do we get them to the right employment or enlistment or enrollment, right? And the next question is something that I thought at first would scare parents, and they are leaning in going, I wish I had this. So my question is, are there any personality tests, paths, Myers-Briggs tools that your school is using in middle school and high school with the students to help them find their why, their strengths, their purpose, to help them navigate their future?
So just last year, we piloted a new one with major clarity for our students in 7th through 12th grade. And that is a career exploration and kind of college planning platform. Students can take an interest inventory, which will assist them in identifying their strengths and interests. They can go back and take it over and over. So it's not necessarily just a one-shot deal, but they can continue to do that. And the platform also allows them to explore career pathways, save their favorites. Again, whether they're enrolling in a higher education or not, that doesn't matter. I mean, we have students who are earning industry certificates and leave high school in a high-paying field. So they can find, again, whatever their E is, whatever that interest is, they can help deliver a pathway, not a program. But one of the things we do at a middle school as well is we worked with Paxton Patterson, and we have this elective class called SciTech. And it's the SciTech elective class. It's another way for students to experience different career paths and help them determine possible high school paths that they might like to take. These are all modules. They work with the person. There's an online component, but everything is a hands-on component too. So there are things like veterinary medicine. We live out in horse property. So that's oftentimes something kids think they like to do. Medical field always is something many kids are interested in. So there's one with that. And oftentimes I'd go in and it's as powerful as for a kid to go, yeah, I don't want to be a doctor. I tried to pull blood out of Armstrong. That's the fake arm they pull blood out of. And they can realize in middle school, you know what? That's actually not for me. That's just as valuable as realizing, hey, there's this thing that I really like. So those are some of the things that we're doing out here. And again, I really like that hands-on middle school class where they can explore some different options and see what they might like.
In middle school. And for all of you parents and district leaders right now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I think, Bill, you can agree or disagree. It's never too early to get inquisitive with your child and say, what do you think you want to do someday? Let's dream big. Don't pressure them on what college to go to, but rather, what do you want to do? What do you want to contribute to the world? Get some asking, exploring. Am I right or wrong there, Bill?
I agree. The other thing we need to emphasize is that what you choose today when you're 14 years old does not need to be the same thing you choose tomorrow when you're 14 and one day older
Yeah.
or 18 or 25. But what are you thinking right now? And what do you want? Again, giving them control. I would argue that our social media tech companies have taken control of them. We need to give them control in as many things back.
Yeah.
So yeah, Josh, exactly what you said. If we can give them, light their fire, find something they're interested in. Again, they don't need to make a decision when they're 14, what their life is going to be, or 18 for that matter. But what is your passion and what pathway do you think you're on now?
Yeah.
And then we can help them when they're ready to divert to another pathway. We're here to support them through that too.
Yeah, so true. Okay, Bill, this is great. I have one more question for you that is the hottest question anybody's talking about. It has to do with AI. But before we get into that, I want to do a shameless shout out to my incredible team at smartsocial.com. Incredible dozen people that are building 54 plus live events that are parent engagement events. They're evening virtual events. Team, I love that you're doing this. We built an AI one. This month is AI. It's AI safety, so your kids can be successful. Last night, we had guest superintendents in the program, and it is phenomenal. It's all about safety, how to use it to navigate. It teaches prompt engineering. Next month has an incredible lineup, and October is anti-bullying month. And we have 54 of these all year long. Gone are the days of just one parent night event about social media safety. We have way too many now. People pop in like college classes and they're free, they're replay. Team, I love what you're doing. You're doing it in 12 different languages, so no one's left behind. And it's on a phone. We also have teens in our program because teens learn best from teens. And then in addition, the best parent newsletter in the business. So keep doing what you're doing. Shout out to the incredible team. All right, we are back to the program here. I want to ask you the hottest question, Bill. I want to get your insight into this. And there is no one right answer. I hope 10 years from now, we're watching this and we'll be saying, wow, look how young we look. And we'll also go, wow, the world has changed, right?
Right.
Future Josh, keep it up. Okay, so the question I have for you, Bill, is how is your school district approaching AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude?
Well, number one, we recognize the potential for all of those ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini to enhance and really streamline administrative tasks and some of the work teachers are doing. For me in our district, we don't just talk about AI, we talk about AI squared. And it is important to me that we recognize that there's artificial intelligence, but it has to be used alongside authentic intelligence. And that authentic intelligence is you and I as human beings and our kids and our teachers. While I've heard people worry about the loss of humanity or different things like that, I'm actually excited for the potential of AI squared to help our teachers and leaders increase their proficiency, their efficacy, their efficiency, and they're actually give them time to be human with each other again. I think there's a real opportunity to give us back some human interaction by leveraging some of these tools for our teachers and administrators and students.
I love that. I love that AI squared. That's something I haven't heard. Authentic intelligence as well as artificial intelligence.
I think we run the risk if we think that we can ever take away the human being out of this. And that's that authentic intelligence. And they have to go hand in hand. I've dove into this world. And again, it saves time, it saves energy, but I can't put a prompt in and then just send that out without investing me in it a little bit or a lot of it depends on the situation. We've got to really discuss how that AI squared is really the future and the way to go. As we prepare students for a future that we don't know will exist, and actually even many possibilities of a future that we don't exist, the fact that they're going to be interacting with artificial intelligence I don't think is disputable. It's going to be happening. So how do we help them navigate that combination of those two things?
Yeah, so true. Hey, Bill, I want to thank you. Thanks for coming on the podcast here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'd also like to send a shout out to your team, because it does take an entire village across this country to keep our kids safe and to keep our families and parents and everybody informed about what's going on out there.
Yeah, thanks so much. To the rest of the team and all the parents and also district leaders out there, remember that we're all about the positive use of social media. And also, one last plug, no matter what we do online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite, like the title of my book says, because our kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the next episode. You can visit smartsocial.com to learn more. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.